Hello and welcome everyone to the first ever season of Teams at War, a game all about teamwork and strategy. My name is Chanel Smith, and I am hosting the season for the next 16 days. Teamwork this season comes in many forms. Perhaps it means working with your own given team, or maybe working with the opposing team. This game is full of possibilities. Tonight, we are bringing in the 18 contestants competing on this season. They are already split into 2 teams of 9, but don't count on these teams to remain the same for long. This game will test how well the players can adapt to new situations. Team swaps are bound to happen, meaning that strategizing with every player isn't a bad idea. You'll learn more about the format when we invite the players in the house. Let's put our hands together as we invite the red team on stage now. Welcome everyone! You 9 are of course on the red team. I think it's time to meet who you will be up against, at least for the first few rounds of the game. Let's put our hands together for the blue team. Welcome blue team. I'm glad to have all of you here since you'll be entering the house in just a moment, ready to compete as this season's champion. When you head inside, you must keep going straight until you reach a stairwell. Don't go down the stairs, but instead just continue going right. You'll reach the eviction room where you'll be seated on one of your team's couches. With that, head on in.
The 18 contestants are in for many surprises this season. Here they are walking into the house. It seems like Millie is the first to enter. She's definitely one to look out for. She's a 26-year-old movie producer. People say she shows zero emotions ever. We'll see if that's the case this season. As more enter from the hallway, we meet Hannah, a 27-year-old nursing student. We have quite a few people this season with major professions. The true question is whether they'll reveal who they actually are or not. You don't want to come off too smart. As we move our attention into the eviction room, it seems people are starting to come in, including Dilpreet, a 42-year-old brass instrumentalist. He definitely gives dad energy, probably because he is one. We'll see how he handles this game away from his wife and kids. Ah yes, another contestant to analyze. This is Danielle, a 28-year-old adventurous flight attendant. She said she's coming into this game open to a showman's. I wonder who she would fall in love with. Maybe the one model in the house, Bart. He's 26, so he's 2 years younger than her. Does that really matter though? We'll see if any sparks form from these two. As the rest pour into the eviction room, they finally sit down, ready for Chanel's next announcement. We don't necessarily need to wait as Chanel takes 10 minutes to explain the rules to everyone. I can help explain how this season's format works. This season, we start off with 2 teams. We have a red team and a blue team. We have 2 bedrooms upstairs. One is assigned to the red team, and the other is assigned to the blue team. However, each room has 7 beds, but we have 9 people on each team. That's because we are introducing a basement bedroom mechanic where some people need to sleep in the creepy basement bedroom. At random points in the season, they will be negatively affected if they are assigned to this room. For today, the 18 players will get time to talk with one another. Tonight, both teams will vote for 2 of their own to be assigned to this creepy bedroom. The top 2 vote getters will be assigned to this room, and each person has only 1 vote to cast. The 4 people chosen to sleep in this bedroom will gain a disadvantage in tomorrow's safety challenge. This punishment is only for tomorrow, though. Like I said, there are different negative punishments for these folks throughout the season. There are 2 ways these people can escape the creepy bedroom. Let's talk about safety challenges. We have an outdoor and basement challenge space. Here, the 2 teams will compete as individuals to win safety for their whole team. Whoever wins will get the power to save 1 person from the opposing team as well. For example, only 8 people will be vulnerable at the first eviction of the season since there will be 1 losing team and 1 person from that team will be safe. If you do the math, it's 9 minus 1. Simple. If the challenge winner or person saved ends up being someone assigned to the creepy bedroom, they will actually get the power to swap their bed with someone else who sleeps upstairs in their comfy team room. However, they must pick someone from their own team rather than the opposing team. The final component of Teams at War is eviction night. At almost every single night this season, Chanel will host the eviction where someone from the losing team will be voted out by the other team. The losing team isn't allowed to vote out one of their own. It's all in the hands of the other team. If the vote ties, the tie-breaking vote will be whoever the challenge winner voted for. The reason people shouldn't only rely on strategizing with the opposing team is because team swaps exist. At one point, their lives in this game could be in the hands of someone who used to be on their team. Now that the whole format is out of the way, I think it's time to finally let the contestants roam the house and interact with one another. Both teams have a big decision to make tonight with the basement bedroom vote. It's officially day 1 in the game, and it seems Josh, the 48-year-old surgeon, is already looking through some books in the reading corner. In fact, the reading corner is located right outside his team's bedroom. Will Josh be assigned to that room? Or will he sleep downstairs? We'll see about that. Oh look! It's Medora and Jeremy. They are examining the photo wall. It seems Medora isn't too happy that Millie and another player, Tamara, are posed the same as her. She likes to be the unique one in the room. She's a 34-year-old marine biologist. Most people call her crazy, but she thinks crazy is an overstatement when describing her. On the other hand, the cool dad, Jeremy, is 33 and is an art critic. I guess he's criticizing his photo as if it's art. Jeremy is a superfan of many social strategy games such as Survivor and Big Brother. Teams at War is like a mix of both, so we'll see if Jeremy has the upper hand this season with his reality show knowledge. Oh look! It's Millie and Dilpreet getting to know each other in the kitchen. It seems they are starting off with a great first impression on each other. At the other end of the kitchen, there's Priscilla comforting Hannah as she's finding it very overwhelming meeting 17 strangers at once. Priscilla is the type to keep people happy. She hates seeing other people feel lonely and stressed. She's 28 and is a digital artist. She has a happy boyfriend watching her from home. Another 2 people to meet. On the left, we have Tamara, a 26-year-old dancer. On the right is Lavik, a 25-year-old cleaner. During their conversation, Lavik lets Tamara know he's actually transgender and came onto this show to represent the transgender community. He's aware of a previous reality show contestant who is also transgender. It's Telly who competed on Survivor and Big Brother. Tamara loves Lavik's vibe right off the bat and lets him know she wants the 2 of them to continue talking with each other in the future. Now at the downstairs pool, we have Danielle hanging out around Catherine, also known as Kat. She's a 27-year-old therapist. It seems she's not going to reveal she's a therapist though. That's because during her chat with Danielle, she claimed she is a line cook. Although she's a great cook, her occupation is much different. Near the pool, Bart and Marco chat. Marco introduces himself to Bart as a 27-year-old baseball coach. Bart says he did his fair share of sports in the past, but he's more focused on his modeling career. The two of these start to bro out as they immediately claim they want to work together. Marco feels like this duo is extremely strong, especially because they are on opposite starting teams. They can help influence each vote and protect each other from going home, at least early on. Bart and Marco then go to Danielle and try bonding with her. At this point, their goal is to find some people who would be loyal soldiers, and Danielle is someone right up their lane. Although Danielle appears to like them, she actually overheard their conversation just now about their alliance. We'll see what she does with that information. Here's Priscilla once again comforting another contestant. This is Zoe, a 38-year-old content creator. She focuses on creating videos about her everyday life. Despite being comfortable on camera, she's not used to being around many strangers, just like Hannah. So Priscilla gives her some motivational words and lets her know she can approach her if she ever feels uneasy again. Zoe appreciates it and would be happy to talk again. Currently, Alessandro, another contestant we haven't talked about yet, is pumping himself up in the mirror. He's 30 and is currently a microbiologist. He's going to claim he's just a typical personal trainer since he feels like he can get away with that lie. He considers himself fairly charming, so he feels like his social game will excel this season. He's already winning over some people like Zoe as he makes her a drink. I'm not sure if he's aware she's married though. Here come Jeremy and, who is that? Oh right, it's Jackson, a 35-year-old firefighter. He's not really that passionate about anything in life. He isn't that self-confident and doesn't really bond well with other people. In his eyes, this game is all about perception. If he's perceived to be a great asset to his team, they will try to work with him. Unfortunately, this game isn't just about bonding with your own team, so Jackson is going to have to rethink his strategy. The final two players we haven't met yet are Byrie and Christephanie, also known as Chris. Byrie is a 29-year-old receptionist and goes by the pronouns they and them. Then we have Chris, who is a 25-year-old gymnast. Both of them love to dance in fact, so that's something they are able to bond about. Chris knows how competitive gymnastics can get, so she feels really prepared for this experience. On the other hand, Byrie feels like their social game is on lock because they talk to strangers every day at work. Pretty good look for both of them. It might be time to get right into the strategic chats now that we know everyone. Priscilla and Millie have a notable conversation as both of them really like each other's vibe. Millie is the main person pushing for them to become an alliance, and Priscilla loves the sound of it. Millie asks her if she currently has any ideas for her team's vote tonight since two people are going to be assigned to the basement bedroom. Priscilla's strategy for the vote is to pick the person she is least connected with. It might be hard to meet everyone on her team, so if there's someone she hasn't met yet, she'll just vote for them. Millie was hoping for a more concrete answer, but regardless, she decides to give away who she plans to vote for. She feels like Zoe is disconnected from the group at the moment. She seems extremely nervous in this environment, which makes her a weak team member. Priscilla immediately feels bad for Zoe as she knows how hard it is for her to be in this house right now. She tells Millie that Zoe will grow as the days go on, so she thinks she should give Zoe a chance. Is that another duo I smell? Dilpreet and Josh are the first ones to hang out outside. That motivated them to create their new alliance name as a duo. They call themselves the Outdoor Operation. They love this name for their little duo. Just like many of the other alliances so far, they plan to protect each other as they are on opposite teams. As for the vote tonight, Dilpreet plans to vote a teammate he feels he won't bond with that much. As for Josh's plan, he wants to push for Priscilla as she's a clear social threat right off the bat. If he can weaken her a bit from this basement vote, it might humble her. As the conversations about tonight's vote continue, Danielle and Medora discuss who they want to vote for. Danielle claims that she's already uneasy about Bart. She exposes his alliance with Marco and their plan to work as a cross-team alliance, essentially double agents. Medora is shocked by this and says she'll consider voting him tonight, but she also feels like voting someone who isn't as strong for their team. She views Priscilla and Chris as the two physically weakest members at first sight. Well, that's quite the assumption Medora has. Danielle doesn't think physical strength matters though and feels like anyone can excel in any challenge if they turn out to be equitable. Medora still feels like Priscilla and Chris will suck the most, so she would rather vote one of them just to be safe. Bart and Marco, who for some reason already feel comfortable walking around in their swim trunks within the first few hours of living in the house, pull Priscilla aside to the reading corner and offer her an alliance with them. She loves the idea of it and says she's down to work with them. Both of them then ask her who she feels like she'll vote for tonight's basement bedroom vote, and she says she is leaning towards voting Chris since they haven't spoken yet. Bart and Marco are cool with that, but Bart says he plans to put his vote on someone else since the top 2 vote-getters are chosen. It's good to split their votes. Marco reveals he is going to vote Zoe since she seems like a massive liability for his team. Priscilla once again feels awful hearing that Zoe is getting votes. She asks Marco if he would maybe prefer voting someone like Tamara, who also seems very quiet right now, so he says he'll consider it, but nothing is confirmed. Tough luck for Priscilla, because it seems more people are discussing Zoe's name as an option. Byrie and Millie tell Chris they plan to vote Zoe tonight. Chris thinks she's the common name from Red. As for her own team, she heard Priscilla the most, so she's going to go with that. If we go one floor down to the basement level, it seems we have a bit of a negative interaction going on between Hannah and Jackson. As Hannah tries to explain how her anxiety is affecting her right now, Jackson finds it appropriate to mention how he never understood the concept of anxiety. He always felt like it was an excuse for people to get away with things. Hannah obviously doesn't take this well and starts telling him how wrong he is. He doesn't agree, so their chat turns into an argument on who is right and who is wrong. Neither win the argument and Hannah ends up walking to the pool to cool off. After getting in her bathing suit, Hannah is found distressed and Levique tries to calm her down. She tells him she cannot stand Jackson and prays to God he gets voted tonight to sleep downstairs so she can sleep peacefully upstairs. Levique wishes he could do something to help, but he can only vote for someone on his team. Well, night 1 finally hit, so it's time for Chanel to check in with the players. Once again, do we really need to listen to Chanel? I'll summarize the events. Basically, everyone has already voted by this point to send someone to the basement bedroom. The top 2 vote-getters on both teams will be assigned to that room and will be at a disadvantage going into the first safety challenge tomorrow. So, let's get to the results. Oh wait, Chanel also forgot to mention one more thing to the players earlier today. The votes are being revealed publicly one at a time, which means everyone will know who voted who. How fun. Seems like the players aren't happy, but nevertheless, we have to get to those results. Starting with Blue, Jackson voted for Hannah. He just doesn't like her. Priscilla voted Chris since they haven't spoken yet. Hannah voted Jackson. Again, no surprise there. Medora voted for Chris just because she assumes she'll be weak in challenges anyway. Jeremy voted for Priscilla, and so did Josh. It's just the consensus name they both got. We know Josh thinks Priscilla is a social threat, but he doesn't reveal that when he says he voted for her. Chris also voted Priscilla as someone who just seems like an outlier on the team. Bart's vote is very strange. He voted Danielle and admits he thought the votes would be private, so he just wanted to throw his vote on someone random so it wouldn't matter. Yikes, that's not a good look. Danielle is pretty guilty too because she voted Bart back. She simply says she never felt a good connection with him despite them having a conversation earlier. That must show Bart now that she's definitely not aligning with him and Marco. With 4 different people getting a vote each, the other 5 votes split as a 3-2 vote. Priscilla got 3 votes and Chris got 2, meaning the 2 of them are going to sleep in the basement bedroom from now on until they can switch themselves with someone else. Now on to the red team vote. Millie is up first and she voted for Zoe, claiming she was the only name she heard. Dilpreet voted Tamara, claiming the same reason as Millie. Alessandro voted Zoe and gives the same reasoning as Millie. On to Tamara, who says she voted Millie. She apologizes and says she just doesn't know her that well. Zoe also voted Millie, claiming she hasn't opened up to many people yet on their team. Marco did Zoe, claiming she's just too quiet on their team. Kat also voted for Zoe as she's just seems like a major liability to the team. Levique voted Millie simply because they never spoke yet. Finally, Barry voted Zoe, saying they have the same reasoning as most others. With that, even though Tamara got 1 vote, she's still going to sleep in the red bedroom. That's because Zoe and Millie got the top 2 votes on red, with Zoe receiving 5 and Millie receiving 3. That's a wrap then. Priscilla, Chris, Zoe, and Millie will sleep downstairs and will get a disadvantage in tomorrow's challenge. The 4 women head downstairs to see their new bedroom, and dang, I guess they really don't like it. Priscilla and Zoe try to look on the bright side. At least there aren't any smelly men around them. But Chris is pissed that Medora actually voted her. She tells Priscilla she understands her vote since they were both in trouble seemingly, but she doesn't get why Medora voted her. Millie is in the same boat as she doesn't know where her name came from. Zoe promises her that she didn't know she would get 3 votes. She was only voting the person she never chatted to. Priscilla tells the 3 women to calm down because this is their opportunity now to work together. Since it's evident most people don't want them here, they can band together to ensure they aren't taken out now. Chris likes the idea of that. Seems like despite the 4 of them voting one another, they still found a way to come together. How inspiring. While the red and blue teams finish looking at their new bedrooms, Jackson intrudes the basement bedroom and finds a stuffed toy. He finds this as a great opportunity to relieve his stress. It's kind of awkward though, as the 4 women in the room just had a strategic conversation. Meanwhile, Marco sees an opportunity to make Zoe into a bigger target on the red team. Him, Kat, Levique, Jeremy, and Josh discuss how untrustworthy she comes off as. She's just too quiet for them. Marco suggests they vote her out if the blue team wins safety. Josh says it's a deal for him, and so does Jeremy. Marco then promises back that his team will vote Priscilla out if they red wins safety since she's the biggest liability on blue. Josh and Jeremy are happy with this and Kat and Levique seem fine with it. Back in the basement bedroom, Hannah enters the room, completely ignoring Jackson beating up the stuffed bear. She goes up to Chris and warns her that Marco, Kat, and Levique pulled Jeremy and Josh to the reading corner, meaning that something is up. They are whispering the entire time, which is what leads to her believing that they have some deal going on. Chris finds this worrying because not a lot of people are aligned in the game yet, so an early alliance could be extremely dominant right now. Hannah says they need to prevent them from taking control, so it's time for them to rally some of their own troops. Wow! Seems like a war is starting to brew. Outside, Josh talks with Danielle as she's someone he sees as a valuable future ally. He tells her he really feels connected to her already and wants to work with her. Danielle likes the idea and says she wants to surround herself around other people she can trust. She then asks Josh who he thinks is trustworthy at the moment to pick at his brain a bit, and he reveals he really trusts Marco, Levique, Kat, and Jeremy after a conversation he had with them earlier. It seemed like Marco was running the chat as he wanted Zoe out from his team. He also said he would push for Priscilla to go from their own team. Immediately, Danielle sees red flags as she doesn't like the idea of Marco working with even more people. She warns Josh that Marco already approached her and Bart for an alliance, which just shows how hard he is playing. Josh doesn't think it's a bad thing necessarily because he'll be a shield in front of them. Danielle questions how true that is since he's on the opposing team anyway. All in all, this isn't a great start for Danielle. The rumors of Marco running a group of people continue to become more apparent. For example, during a conversation between Jeremy and Chris, Jeremy reveals he wants Zoe voted out from the red team if their own team wins tomorrow's challenge so that they can leverage the top dogs from red to vote out their own weakest members from blue, such as Priscilla. Even Bart, Marco's closest ally, spreads the word that Zoe and Priscilla are the main targets right now for both teams. Since Jeremy and Josh were the only 2 people from blue in that core conversation with Marco, they decide to team up as this is an easy way to trust each other. Jeremy feels like the both of them are very strategic. They both have a laugh, feeling great about their positions now. Let's check in with the basement bedroom. It seems that Millie and Bairi, who are close friends already, spill some tea about some of the players. Millie reveals to them that the basement gals are an alliance now, but she doesn't plan to expose it to anyone else. Bairi agrees with that move to get in with the girls since that's a strong pact right there. Millie doesn't really trust Zoe though, which is the only problem. They voted each other anyway, so they both have reasons to distrust one another. Well, more and more people start to fall asleep. I guess it's bedtime. It's time to rise and shine for a new day in the game. Day 2. Everyone makes it to the basement challenge room for the first safety of the season. In this challenge, everyone must take a book from their lane and find the word safety somewhere in the book. There are multiple books and only a few that contain the word. It shows up on multiple pages, so it's not as difficult as people may think. The first to find the word will win safety for the entire team and will also choose to save one player from eviction on the losing team. As for the disadvantage for the basement bedroom folks, they will start this challenge 1 minute late, which isn't too bad, but can still cost them the win if someone has faster eyes. The challenge begins with everyone getting up to grab a book. Some are noticeably slower than others. After a minute, the women from the basement bedroom start the challenge, quickly grabbing a book from their lane. Everyone starts skimming through their pages. Bart uses his finger to guide himself through each page, but Danielle goes for a riskier strategy as she scans the pages from top to bottom without focusing on specific words. Despite how torturous this seems on their eyes, Jeremy seems to be enjoying the book he has out. I guess he found some humorous line or something. I don't think Hannah enjoys the giggling too much though. The 4 basement bedroom women had a disadvantage in this challenge, but the time penalty might not matter after all. They seem to be at a similar pace as the rest. Josh whispers to his blue team to open random pages in their books so they don't scan the same pages from the same books. So they all start following that advice. The red team's strategy seems to be the same as they have different books from each other. After some more time, Danielle gets up as she finds the word and gets confirmation she's correct, meaning she has won safety for her team. As a result, she must now head upstairs to the reading corner and insert the name of the player she wants to save from the red team in the display case. While everyone on red anxiously waits, Danielle makes it upstairs and observes the display case. She takes a bag with all the red team names and thinks about her decision. Of course, saving Zoe seems to be the obvious move as she's a massive target, but she doesn't want to become a threat to the red team after doing so. If anything, she needs to disassociate herself from Zoe. At this point, she wants to save someone who isn't directly aligned with Marco. Barry seems to be the next best pick for her as they can be her new friend in this game. She inserts their name and confirms they are safe from eviction tonight. Let's see how the players are holding up back in the house. While Bairi is eating happily with safety, Hannah and Chris are somewhat stressed as they confirm with Bairi that there might be a major alliance right now trying to take out Zoe tonight. Bairi definitely heard Zoe's name before, but they also don't like the idea of there being a big alliance trying to run the game. Chris says they need to rally up the votes to exterminate that alliance. Even though this move is quite bold, she thinks Marco needs to go home first. You have to chop off the head of the snake first. Hannah agrees and tells Chris that they need to get Danielle on board since her tiebreaker vote could help them if there's somehow a tie. Even though the ladies want to get to Danielle first, Josh makes it to her first and tells her she made a great decision saving Bairi. They can vote Zoe tonight to ensure they are safe with Red moving forward. But Danielle doesn't feel comfortable with this plan because she knows people will be tempted to vote out a great competitor. After winning today's challenge, she might be viewed as a challenge asset on their team, which could tempt the red team into voting her out. Josh promises her she'll be safe. He will put in a good word for her so she doesn't need to worry about it. Millie and Hannah talk as Hannah sees tonight's vote as an opportunity to work with some people on red. Hannah fills Millie in that she wants to destroy the rumored majority alliance Marco created by taking him out tonight. Millie is obviously fine with this. As long as it's not her, she's okay with it. Hannah hopes this means they can work together, and Millie says she's definitely down for it. Throughout the rest of the day, more people seem to confirm they are voting Zoe tonight, including Bart, Jeremy, and Josh. Even Medora, who tells Chris, Kat, and Bairi she's doing Zoe simply because she doesn't like her moping around. Obviously, we know Chris isn't down to do it, but she is starting to get concerned that her plan to take out Marco won't work. She doesn't want to vote in the minority anyway. If Zoe goes, she might just kiss her game goodbye if her team loses next round. Hannah continues making her rounds with some people to convince them that Marco is a threat. She tells Tamara about the rumors and Tamara is quite stunned. Hannah wants her to promise she would keep her and Chris safe if they were to vote Marco out, who is leading this majority alliance. Tamara agrees to this and says she'll make sure it's Jeremy and Josh who go home and not them. Back downstairs though, Priscilla and Zoe have an emotional moment together as Zoe continues to feel awful in this house. She feels very isolated from the group and might just go home tonight. Priscilla tells her not to give up because anything is still possible for her. In fact, she plans to vote Tamara tonight to hopefully help her out and save her. Zoe appreciates it and tells her that if this is her last day here, she wants Priscilla to make it far. They both cry together and hug each other, calling each other best friends for life. As the eviction approaches, Chris does some last-minute chats with some of the red team to truly gain their trust. She sees an opportunity to fill in Zoe and Tamara that she's voting for Marco tonight. Tamara says that Hannah already filled her in, so they are good. Zoe brings her coffee with her to the table and asks Chris what votes they have. Chris says that she and Hannah are locks. Hopefully Priscilla is on board too. It just leaves Jackson and Danielle as the wild cards. She tried to find time to talk with them but never did, so she hopes she can find a way to tell them on their way to the eviction room. Zoe prays this works out, but she also knows Jackson has had conversations with Marco already from what she has seen. Chris says it'll be a tough eviction to get through, so she tells Zoe to keep praying because this entire time, she was supposed to go home until herself and Hannah started to flip the script. What a crazy day full of back and forth. It's time we settle it with the eviction. Chanel, take over so I can have my water break.
Hello everyone! It's about time we speak with the players now as we get into the first eviction of the season. Who from the red team will go home? Let's talk with the house. Hello players! What a packed 2 days it has been for you guys. I want to personally congratulate Danielle for winning that first challenge. Well everyone, it's time to get down to business. Obviously, someone from the red team is going tonight. It will not be Byrie, saved by challenge winner Danielle. The blue team will enter the diary room one by one and vote to evict. It is time to vote. Jeremy, to the diary room first. Medora, Priscilla, Chris, to the diary room. Hannah, you're up. Bart, please head to the diary room. Danielle, it's your turn. Hello, Danielle. Who would you like to evict? Thank you. Josh. Jackson, to the diary room. Jackson, who would you like to evict? You may now return to the living room. House guests, I have the results of tonight's eviction. If I say your name, you received at least one vote tonight. Zoe, Tamara, and Marco. One of you is about to be evicted right now. With only one vote. Tamara, you are safe. This means it's down to Marco and Zoe. Zoe, you received 4 votes. That means Marco also received 4 votes. As a result, whoever Danielle voted tonight will be the one going right now. The first house guest evicted from Teams at War is Marco. Please say your goodbyes and head out the front door.
With it being confirmed Marco is evicted, some are shocked, such as Alessandro. Josh makes a face as he realizes his team voted completely differently from him. Priscilla smiles as Zoe is safe and Chris and Hannah hide in their excitement. Marco gets up and hugs Kat on his way out. Bart also runs in to give him a hug before he leaves. He promises he had no idea the vote would go this way, but Marco tells him not to worry. Danielle watches the two of them hug, knowing deep down that Bart is going to hate her for this. Marco starts heading out, leaving his allies stunned and Zoe even more stunned. He makes his way for the door and leaves. Next time on Teams at War. With the house completely divided now, the players fight in a crucial safety challenge as nobody feels safe at this rate. Some people feel relieved after the Marco blindside, while others do not feel comfortable. However, with the lines somewhat drawn, Danielle decides to play the middle and even plays up the flirt game with Alessandro. This next episode will be action-packed as it will be filled with 2 regular rounds rather than just 1. You won't be relaxing like Medora over here. That's a better shot. All of this will be featured on Sunday's episode. In his final words, Marco says he had a great time despite getting out first. He actually feels better going out this way than a typical vote-off. Getting blindsided feels weird and it will probably sting even more after the show. For now, he'll just take this as a compliment since he knows he was going to be a strong contender to win this game. He isn't sure who voted him and quite frankly doesn't care. His winner pick right now is Bart because he is a strong competitor himself and might not be targeted for a while as he's a smooth talker.